When I tell somebody I have ADHD, one of the most common responses I get is something along the lines with, well, I think everybody has ADHD to some degree, or I think I also have some ADHD. And when I was recently diagnosed, I was in my mid-30s then, I used to get a bit offended by this reaction. I felt like they were minimizing my struggle or minimizing my feelings about it. But now, I think this reaction actually is a way of showing empathy. I think they are trying to communicate that it's okay. It's not a big problem. It's not a big deal that you have ADHD. It's okay. I think that's what they're trying to say in most cases. I might be wrong, of course. And even though it's not technically correct to say that everybody has ADHD to some degree, this reasoning actually makes a bit of sense, because everybody can feel the symptoms of ADHD sometimes. Everybody can get distracted sometimes. Everybody can be impatient or impulsive, or forget their keys, or come late to a meeting, or lose focus, especially if they're doing something that they're not very interested in. So the symptoms of ADHD are not in any way unique to persons with ADHD. Everybody can experience some of these symptoms sometimes. Of course, the difference between experience some of the symptoms some of the time and having ADHD is that a person with ADHD are experiencing these symptoms, most of these symptoms, all the time, and also to a degree, or like higher intensity, that it actually becomes an impairment in your daily life. Also, these symptoms are not something that pops up every now and then, but it has to be a pattern that you can identify that has been present in your life, all of your life, basically. Some of the symptoms should be present before 7 years old, or some of the symptoms before 12 years old, according to the manual for diagnosing ADHD. Also, when you're investigated for ADHD, you go through different tests, like they're testing your sight and hearing, because they want to ensure that the problems that you're having are not caused by impaired vision or hearing, and so on. So there is a big difference between feeling some of the symptoms some of the time and having ADHD. But it's not really so black and white, because everybody can be distracted, and you can be distracted to a very tiny degree or a very high degree. So it's more like of a gray scale. But you can compare it with sadness and depression, for instance. Everybody can feel sad. It doesn't mean that you have a depression, clinical depression. You can be worried about things. It doesn't mean that you have anxiety disorder. And you can be distracted sometimes. It doesn't mean that you have ADHD. So it's kind of similar. So again, when people react like this, when they're saying that everybody has ADHD to some degree, I think it's mostly a way of showing support. Maybe it can also be a sign of curiosity. Maybe they want to know more, and by saying this, they're trying to lower the threshold for you to tell them more about your diagnosis or your symptoms or the way you feel about it. I think most people want to understand things, So if you tell them something they don't know, they want to know more. Generally, I think we are like that as human beings. So I don't think they're trying to dismiss your symptoms or your ADHD. I think they're trying to relate and understand. What do you think? Have you gotten the same reaction when you told people about your ADHD? And how do you feel about this response? What do you think it comes from? Share your thoughts in the comments. I would be happy to hear your experience. Or maybe you have recently been diagnosed with ADHD and you haven't told people. Maybe you're worried about what they are going to say. I know I didn't share my diagnosis with people in the beginning. I had a lot of fears about it. Maybe I can do another video about that sometime if you want. So if you listened this far, hi, my name is Johan. I have ADHD and I make these videos to share my personal experience with living with ADHD, and I hope to provide some kind of value for other people with ADHD out there. Please leave a comment, subscribe if you like, and yeah, see you next time.